We start with Walder Frey. Is it a flashback? Is it Arya? Yeah, it's clearly Arya posing as Walder. I must say, even more than his face and voice, that was a tremendous impersonation of every single one of the man's mannerisms, manners of speech, and idiosyncrasies. All of this without ever even meeting the guy. One must conclude that all that floor scrubbing and getting beaten up by a stick really paid off. Kitty Frey has her mouth open in disbelief, presumably not only because of what she's just seen, but also because she just realized she's been sleeping with a teenage girl for the last couple of weeks, or however long it took for Arya to gather every Frey in one room, and hadn't even noticed. After she triumphantly reveals herself to the women, whom she spared, she calmly walks out of the castle. I guess we're supposed to assume she also killed Evergarden and the twins. It was a good decision on the production's part to put the scene before the opening credits, just so most of the fans have the entire title sequence to cool off the massive boners a cold open just gave them. We then start off in a frozen wasteland. White Walkers, again, not walking, and the army of the dead are slowly going south. There are at least 3 zombie giants with them. We zoom in on one, and his scars, plus the fact that he's one-eyed short, seem to imply he's Wun-Wun, which in turn implies that the White Walkers somehow went to Winterfell, got the late giant, brought him all the way north to the wall, and are marching south again. It was all Bran's warging though, even if we don't really know what the fuck he was warging into. They reach the wall and are greeted by Dolorous Ed, who asks what their business is. Mira reveals they're nobles, who just happen to go for a stroll north of the wall. Bran, though, goes for a slightly different angle and just gives a creepy, overly clairvoyant speech. As any good Lord Commander, though, Ed values supernatural clairvoyance much more than blue blood, so he lets them in. In Winterfell, Jon Snow, with Sansa at his side, gathers the Northern Lords and calls for a search for Dragonglass. Also, equal opportunity in conscription, mainly to give Lady Mormont a badass scene. All of his policies seem to be based on this war against supernatural beings that not even most of the Night's Watch believed in, like 5 episodes ago. Everyone seems fine with it, though, so I guess that's that. The most important part of the Winterfell scene is when Sansa publicly disagrees with Jon. Jon wants to forgive the Karstarks and the Embers. Sansa doesn't. To put it another way, Sansa seems to think it's okay to punish the daughter of a man convicted for treason for her family's crimes. Meanwhile, Jon, always going on about how they need to strengthen their fortifications, just handed out the 2 castles who they just said are the first lines of defense to a couple of untrained children whose bannermen are mostly dead. They both have a chat afterwards, where she says he's good at ruling, despite his only experiences in leading are being killed in a mutiny after 3 or 4 episodes, and making all the wrong decisions in the Battle of the Bastards, having succeeded only because she acted behind his back. Also, she establishes herself as a pupil of Cersei. Yeah, I don't see how this Jon-Sansa business could turn out wrong. We then go to King's Landing, where Cersei and Jaime are, literally, watching paint dry. She then reveals that she plans to ally herself to Euron Greyjoy, who is now sporting a massive armada. Must have been easy for them to build all those ships, given the colossal amount of trees the Iron Islands have been shown to possess. Euron, who now looks like a DJ who makes a living off selling acid, promises a priceless gift to Cersei in return for her hand in marriage. Is it a dragon? Is it Tyrion? We'll have to wait to find out, as he goes back the way he came, which, when we think about it, raises a lot of questions on its own. In Old Town, we follow the tedious and literally shitty daily routine of Sam. He seems determined to find a way into the restricted area of the library, but the Archmaester declines it, with a speech that's more or less like, well, no. By the way, have you mentioned that there's no way that the wall will fall by the end of the season? So he sneaks into the restricted area and discovers that there's a lot of dragonglass below Dragonstone, which was literally said by Stannis to him 2 seasons ago. Arya finds Lannisters and discovers they are actually good guys, thus humanizing them or some shit. The focal point of this scene seems to be this Ed Sheeran character, whom, to be honest, I'd never heard of before, but after finding out who he is, I really regret Arya's newfound compassion for Lannister soldiers. He's seen singing a song, and after being asked which song it is, he looks at the camera and says, "It's a new one." Also, this means that he has more lines than Tyrion and Varys this episode. Dany and her fleet are arriving in Dragonstone. It's near King's Landing, and it was earlier predicted by Jaime that she would set camp there. So we're in for a treat. What kind of devilish schemes or traps has Cersei set for Daenerys there? She slowly walks into the stronghold, foolishly undermanned. Then she slowly enters the throne room, and okay, they didn't really do shit, did they? Not even some poor bastard guarding it from a distance to announce it. No problem, I'm sure the screenwriters will warn Cersei when the time comes. Moving on. The Hound travels with his merry band of men, even if he himself isn't that much merry. They go inside the house of some dude he robbed back when the series were still adaptations of the books, and they convince him to look into the flames. Skeptical at first, the Hound starts seeing stuff in the flames. Ice. A wall of ice. The wall. It's where the wall meets the sea. There's a castle there. Which seems to say boring stuff like where the White Walkers are heading and once more foreshadow a possible crumbling of the wall. The Brotherhood without banners are starting to fall asleep and viewers start to pick up their remotes, ready to change the channel. But that's when the Hound says, "There's a mountain!" The ratings wildly increase with the hype concerning the confirmation of Clegane Bowl. They all stand up in awe as if to say, "Then it's fucking confirmed!" Thoros knows that their mantra was right. The night is dark and full of hype. And Beric asks the Hound, "Do you believe now, Clegane?" And the Hound just stands there speechless. Of course he believes. It is confirmed.